Welcome everyone. My name's Carl Schneider, I'm the editor of Farmers Weekly, and welcome to this afternoon's seminar on getting profit on your farm from data and technology. Now, we all know every farmer loves their kit. We know the reason we put lots of machines as our sales go up when we put it on the cover. And actually, this is a very exciting time for farm technology. Agritech investment went up tenfold in the last few years. There's more new technology coming down the pipeline now than at any time before. But are we really getting value from our investment in this technology? I think we'd agree that at the moment, all too often, the answer to that question is no. I mean, there's certainly a need for us to squeeze more money more value out of our investment in technology. We know from the last Farm Business Survey that most crop farmers don't make a profit on their core crop growing business. We know that we're going into a period of great uncertainty when at least 4 of the key areas that are important to farmers, access to labour, access to markets, farm support payments and the regulatory regime, are all up in the air as we leave the EU. So, whatever happens over the next few years, everyone expects farm support payments to go down. So the need for us to squeeze more value out of everything we do is greater now than ever before. Everyone also agrees that data is a key component, is the sort of the fuel to make this technology work effectively. I've previously described it as the most underused resource in farming. We waste our data in a way that farmers wouldn't dream of wasting diesel, for example. Without the ability to capture data and use it effectively, it's very hard to get the value out of the technology we use. So to sum it all up, we've never had more access to more exciting new technology, and we've never had a greater need for it. So the question is, what do we need to do to get real value out of that technology? So to address that question, we've put together this panel in front of you. And I think we'd struggle to put together a better panel for this subject from anywhere around the world. So let me just introduce them to you. So on my right is Graham Potter. I've told Graham I'm going to introduce him as Mr. Precision Farming, because I don't think there's another farmer in the UK who's tried more different aspects of precision farming technology. He's a real early adopter, but he thinks about it very carefully. He farms a 200-hectare family farm, and he also runs a contracting business in North Yorkshire. On my far left is Fabio Veronese. He's a lecturer in agri-data analysis at Harper Adams University. And of course, Harper Adams University hosts the National Centre for Precision Farming. They're holding their very exciting trial to run a hands-free hectare at the moment, which I think there's some presentations on at this event. Fabio holds a PhD in spatial statistics from Cranfield University, and before coming to Harper Adams, he worked for 4 years at ETH Zurich, where he developed machine learning algorithms to model environmental systems. On my immediate left is Simon Parrington. He's the managing director of the precision farming consultancy Soil. He's run Soil for more than 20 years, and he's overseen the growth of the business in the UK and also a number of foreign countries. They've got around 100 staff providing advice to over 1 million hectares of land, and Soil aims to create precision farming solutions that have a clear benefit to the grower. And last but not least, on my far right is Alistair Knott. Alistair works for Proagrica. That's the umbrella business that also owns Farmers Weekly. It's Read Business Information's agri-related brand. Alistair's focus is on developing easy access to essential data sets for the agri-industry so that he can develop products and services to help farmers boost their productivity. So I'm going to ask each of our panel to give a short, and I'm going to keep them to this, a short 5-minute introductory presentation. The reason I'm going to keep it short is I want to have most of this session driven by you and the questions you want to ask. So we're going to deliberately keep the introductory presentations fairly brief. So the order we're going to do it is I'm going to ask, so we sort of go from big picture down to what's happening on the farm. So we'll start with Alistair, looking at the big picture. Then I'm going to ask Fabio to talk about sort of what's coming down the pipeline from sort of and what's happening in the lab. Simon will talk about making use of real data in the field. And then we'll have Graham talking about what's working on farm and why. Okay, so I'll hand over to Alistair to get us going.
Good afternoon, everybody. Just wanted to, first of all, just outline Proagrica. It's probably a new name to you, which represents all of the activities we do in agriculture. but some of them are very familiar. Carl outlined that we have Farmers Weekly, and we also now have Future Farming, which is dedicated to precision ag. And so we're here to inform and educate the industry. Everyone in this room will have heard of our software, which is Farmplan, so Gatekeeper, Gatekeeper and Cattle Manager, providing decision support for the industry. Most people in this room who aren't farmers will have heard of our data connectivity and integration business, First for Farming. And most of the people in this room wouldn't know that we also have a global data cleansing, insight and analytics business called HPCC, owned by our parent company, Reed Elsevier. So we're clearly connected to agriculture and we're fiercely committed to contributing to its success. So why we want to talk about this data? Well, the reality is, it doesn't matter whether you're involved in Formula One, whether you're involved in forensics or medicine, or you're involved in farming. If you want to be at the cutting edge, then it's data that's the real differentiator. And to put that in perspective, I want to just quickly talk about corn, obviously not grown here, but it's the biggest crop in the world. Today, in the US, they produce on average about 170 bushels an acre. Not bad when you consider it was 35 bushels an acre in 1920. But if you look at the University of Illinois, they'll tell you the potential from corn is 500. Clearly, it's clinical, but the potential is there. But what I want to express is not all just cloud in the sky, because a lot of the stuff that they do or purporting is still in our hands. So we take the weather out, which clearly isn't in our control. 2/3 of the decision-making that can increase those bushels is in our control. And that's from nutrient management, real precision decision-making on varieties, crop rotations, plant population, cultivations, and also managing crop canopy and growth. So all of these things you would talk every day on your farm. Big data can help bring this really to life and improve yields. And the reality is, it's big. Agriculture is a massive industry worldwide. But the reality is, as we get into big data, the numbers with data get bigger. And it's coming from everywhere: satellites, drones, machinery, farm management systems, and don't forget the animals. But the good news in the UK, this was a survey that was done by agritech in 2015. Over half of farmers who were bigger than, say, 20 hectares have got some form of decision support tooling. But if you go up to the bigger farms, then it's nearer 90%. So farmers are already well engaged with the possibilities of data. But the reality is, as it gets bigger and better and you get more and more innovation in it, it becomes more and more complicated. The consequence is that this can threaten quality, interoperability of machines, and in effect undermine the trust and innovation that people want to put in the industry. And big data as a general subject is a big challenge. For those people who have heard of the 4 Vs, you've got masses and masses of data. People are demanding data quicker and quicker. You've got a real variety of data, so your old SQL database isn't really applicable in the new world. And you've also got a complexity of either erroneous or poor quality data. But what I'm here to tell you is that these big modern machine learning systems can help in this challenge for us to make sure that we've got quality data coming out to the far side. So what do we do as a group, and what I'm involved in is we help to join the dots. So what we do is we help to connect diverse systems that are being used on farm and then allow that permissioned data from a farmer to a trusted partner in order for them to create products and services for them. And if they wish, then we can also help take back that data back down to farm. But the reality is, this is innovation that's not all being seen by farmers yet. If you look what's going on out in industry, it is huge, the potential that big distribution, crop input manufacturers, machine manufacturers are doing with new technology to be able to take in masses of data and start to provide either products or services, or as importantly, to start looking at insight, look at correlations, but also use derived materials. So that's where you mix lots of different types of data into real solutions for farmers. So this is big, and you're going to see over the next, I would say, 5 to 10 years, real value coming out of this derived data. So what do I see as some of the opportunities and challenges for us in here? We need to continue to be industry-wide on collaboration. Harper Adams, you've heard, has special interest groups. We need to continue on this road to make sure that we've got the strategy right, and in some areas I don't think we have. We need to make sure the sources of data that we need are easily accessible, and we need to make sure we keep moving on standards. Standards has been an effort, but also a challenge ongoing in the industry. There is an issue with trust and confidence, and we need to work really hard to make sure that those who are providing data to a trusted partner are doing it in confidence. And we also need to make sure that the derived data from the other side has the same quality and verification to make sure that people can trust in it. We also have got the advantage that this isn't a challenge that's just bespoke to agriculture. Every industry today is struggling with masses and masses of data that they're trying to correlate and create value. So we need to look at outside agriculture in order to look at systems that we can use within agriculture. I would also say we need to make sure that we don't get caught up that precision agriculture is just about cost reduction. If you want to grow 20 tonnes of wheat or you want to double your daily live weight gain, you potentially are going to feed a crop or animal more. What we're going to make sure is we're doing it in a way that's sustainable and ultimately productive and profitable for farmers. And the last bit I would say is we are in a changing time, either economically, politically, whatever. But what I believe is that if we really embrace big data in a big data way, then this can be a real counter to perhaps pressures that might come on post-Brexit or from other economic or political factors. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Alistair. Very good timing. Setting a good example for our other speakers. Fabio, do you want to continue the debate?
Right, so I come from Harper Adams, so I will talk more from a research perspective. What we are asking at Harper is which will give the greatest return in terms of technology. And of course, what we are arguing is that contrary to machinery, data analysis costs much less and has a more potential to provide higher return. Because the thing is that people need to understand that data is an asset, so it needs to be invested to provide a return. And the problem is that if each farm has tons of data, but on their own has little value, but however, when it's pooled and if we create this big data set, then we can really find insight into this data and provide better management solution. So, I mean, the question is who should I invest my data with? So, of course, there are a series of parties out there. Some of them are here. But the thing is that you should decide about your investment, and it's important, as Alistair said, that you keep control of your data, so you know where your data is and what's used for. So then again, what should you expect in return? Well, I mean, of course you should expect a return, but not necessarily a direct monetary return. Of course, if we have, as I said, pooled data, and we have the right expertise, we can really get insights from this data. So we can provide you with new management tools, better information, new reports, etc. And this all works towards a more profitable farming. So it becomes a virtuous circle. When you lower your inputs, you have higher yields, so you earn more at the end. This is the concept of agriculture 4.0, where all the data from farming are pooled, are anonymized, put into the cloud, and then they are analyzed with a large machine and machine learning algorithms, and this can provide you with better management solution, because everything works towards the optimization of the farming business. A real example is the example of interconnected farming. So, for example, we have a drone, a scouting drone, fitted with hyperspectral cameras that flies to a problem area which we identify through aerial images. So when the drone's flying in, a pest or a disease is discovered, and then we can use this data with additional sources of data, so like soil maps, crops and weather, to actually better map the problem. And then we can decide with the farmer what sort of treatments we can actually use. And then the AI system, once the problem has been identified, books the contractor, arranges the delivery of the exact amount of pesticide, so nothing is wasted, and then the treatment is loaded into the drone, and of course sprayed on the field, and then after the treatment all the records are updated, so then everything is logged. So of course, then farmers can choose for this record to be made available to buyers, to supermarket or other parties. But the important thing we would like to bring forward is that the farmers need to keep the control of everything they do, from data to results. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon. So I'm going to talk about soil and how we work at the practical end of using precision agriculture data. Our company motto is making every hectare count, and that really ties into the challenges that we've all got as farmers, but also the challenges that the world has in terms of a growing population and the challenge of feeding the world. So finite number of hectares, how do we make those hectares as productive as possible? And that comes down to even the sub-hectare level with some of the data. So in a traditional precision farming context, things like variable rate fertiliser, variable rate seed, they're well known. Various bodies and companies have done trials in those areas to establish the benefits. Other activities, targeting of Avidex, Roundup, slug pellets, targeting cultivation depth to soil type, are newer ideas where the evidence has still been put together to justify individual farm benefits. I think the key thing, if we think about the precision farming process, we have to collect data, we've got to interpret that data, and then we decide how we use the data. And I think that the key piece that we're seeing over the last couple of years is being built into that plan more and more, is what will be the test as to whether that decision has worked. Have we made a better decision or not? With some of the technology and software that we're seeing coming through now, we can actually embed our trial plots, our learning zones, inside our variable treatment plan. So the result, the proof of the payback, evidence-based production, if you want to use that term, is actually built into the system and the decision-making process. So great to see that at that evolution. I haven't met a farmer yet that says to me, I don't like the idea of being more precise, I don't like the idea of targeting my inputs to optimise yield. That's an obvious goal in terms of improving production. But the challenge comes when we're on our farms, the busy environment, especially at certain times of the year, harvest, drilling, spring peak. How do we make things easy enough, compatible enough, that everybody on the farm can comfortably use the technology? So we get all the benefits that in some cases are already proven, other cases are still developing. How do we get all those benefits with the minimum of fuss? So the way we go about that with our own clients is to provide local support and advice. So we have a team of colleagues based around the country who are available to actually support that process. We also have office-based support and soil expertise from a training and education perspective for different pieces for different times in the farming calendar. We then back that with easy-to-use software. The aim being to make software and data easy to access, easy to use, quick to learn, and pulling together all your data in one place. In this example, we've got some nutrient data, 3 years of yield maps, and the soil type zones. We can then interrogate that data with a number of tools that are built into that tool set. We can also draw or calculate prescriptions as we require, but all designed to be really simple to use. And the common feedback that we get is, why can't every piece of software that I've got on the farm be that easy to use? So I think easy to use is really important, because when we get busy, as you will know, there's about 5 minutes to get things working, or we have to crack on without our decision support. So that website fits in within our data management system called MySoil. And that's where we pull together all the precision farming data that we're currently working with, but also as we move forward, ground sensors, weather station, weather feeds. We're seeing many new sources of imagery data. Traditionally we've worked a lot with satellites. Now we're seeing increased use of aerial imagery with light aircraft, and also farm-based tools in terms of drone data acquisition. So we can pull in a range of data. It then creates a central point for the soil advisor, our client, the customer, and the agronomist on the farm to work together around the decision-making process, with everybody looking at the same view of the data. Once the decision's been made, treatment plans can then be sent to many variable rate application systems: Trimble, John Deere, AgLeader, Patchwork, FarmWorks, RDS and so on, or to our own iSoil app, and in that case the data transfer is actually wireless, both on the way out to the field and also sending the record back to the office. At the end of the cycle, the crop record software in the office, typically in the UK, Gatekeeper or Muddy Boots, is then used to record what's actually happened. We have a couple of simple apps to try and simplify both in-field data collection and using our treatment plans. So we have a scouting app you can use for scouting problem areas, problem patches, take photographs and log them with GPS, and that is then synchronized to the website with all your other precision agriculture data. And then we have a variable rate app that can be used with spreaders, sprayers or drills to simply create a variable rate spreading, drilling or spraying system using obviously the familiar iPad. So I think my closing point would be, what will success look like? If you're looking at precision farming, or you're thinking forward to next season's precision farming, what will success look like, and build that into your planning at the beginning. So if you're looking at satellite imagery for weed management, or you're looking at satellite imagery for nitrogen management, what would you consider to be a success, and then how are you going to prove that payback? And then your trial, your comparison, your methodology for identifying that can be built in. Obviously, research organisations, companies like us will have our own proof, but there's nothing better than proving it within your application, your own applications, particularly if it can be embedded in the treatment plan, so it's an automatically created trial. Obviously, a few ways that you might consider. You can use data analysis. You can analyse all your data at the end of the season to see whether you've seen an improvement in whatever you're targeting. If you've built trial plots into your application plan, then you can use yield maps to cut up the different zones and identify the performance of each different management approach. You can build your trials into your treatment plan. So in the bottom left-hand corner, as you look at the map, the flat green areas running across the field are flat rate applications. The rest of the map is variable. So the comparisons are built into the treatment plan. And obviously the final thing that we would do or consider would be some in-field measurements. So if you're variable rate seeding, you might count plants in the autumn and the spring, and then do some head counts before harvest. If you're looking at variable rate nitrogen, you might do some hand harvesting just before harvest, or get someone to do that for you. So a number of different ways to really identify, what will success look like on your farm. So that's it, making every hectare count. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Graham Potter. I'm a farmer up in North Yorkshire, farming 200 hectares. We also do a little bit of contracting on some of the local farms in the area. I first got into precision farming about 7 years ago. I took over the family farm. Before that, I was travelling around the world, went to Australia a lot. I used to drive trucks for a living before I got big into farming. And as soon as I jumped into it, took over the family farm, I wanted to bring some of my ideas I learned from around the world and put it into my farm. So this is a little insight to what we did. So this is just our farm here. You can see what we're growing on here. The kit we have, pretty similar to everybody else's. You've got a Claydon drill, ploughman subsoil for drilling the oilseed rape with. Pretty simple stuff. We're also running the RTK on a 2.5 centimetre accuracy and practicing controlled traffic. So biggest key, I think, is when we're using Gatekeeper is our hub. So everything that we do on our farm has to come to Gatekeeper. So such as drone deploy or open seed coming from open field, soil sense, using soil sense with all the conductivity maps, or if it's variable seed rate maps, and then with program agronomy, bringing agronomy into it all. So everything comes into Gatekeeper, and then from there we're shoving straight out to John Deere. So everything going into John Deere, into the tractors, into the combine, then back into Gatekeeper again, and then from there out to where it's going to the factories and everything, into a bread or animal products, then coming back into money. So, and the key issue I think here is also compatibility. Everything has to be compatible, especially with Gatekeeper. I know when I first started, there wasn't a lot of things talking to Gatekeeper, but now everything seems to talk to Gatekeeper, which is pretty good. But the key thing is try and keep things simple if you can when you're in precision agriculture. If you've got lots of different kit, lots of different things coming from all the different angles, sometimes it's a little bit hard to control everything. So compatibility is key. So we've all seen these. There's how conductivity maps, line maps, potash and TSP there. So we kind of overlay all those. We do all our variable rates, so our conductivity is for our seed. We do our seed, and then so we've got variable rate with the lime, so we're making a saving there, and you're putting the lime where we need to. And the same with our rate of potash and TSP, only using those products. So suddenly we're making a saving all the time. So instead of blanket rating, we're just putting on where we need it. So when you think, where am I going to get my money back from? That is one of the things where we actually start bringing our money back from to pay for all this technology. So at the end of the day, when we finish, we'll come up with this map. This here, so this is the cost of everything that we've done there. And in here you can see we're producing a tonne of wheat there for about £86 a tonne. That's what it comes out at. So I think that was pretty good. That was in that good year though. Other years, sometimes we're 100, sometimes we've been even less than that, just depending on the tonnage and everything. So compared to previously, I don't know, how much is a tonne of wheat these days? Average farmer, is it £130 a tonne? I don't know. But we are under. I can produce a tonne of wheat for under £100 a tonne normally. When I've looked over the averages over the last 6 years we've been doing it, we have stayed under, barring 1 year. So once we've done all our variable rate maps and all of our variable rate files in Gatekeeper, so everything is all laid on top of each other, we end up with a net margin map that looks like this. So in here it looks a little bit like yield map, apart from all these areas are money. So red areas are where we're losing money, grey areas we're just making money, all the nice big green and blue areas making loads of money. So yeah, that's how it works. So we can make decisions from that map. Why is that area red there? There's a drainage problem there, so we'll sort that out. Other little key issues, you look around and you can see where we need to invest money to make things better. So another little subject I'd like to touch on is the ploughman subsoiler, which I had built for me. In our controlled traffic system, we still suffer from compaction. And even though we're direct drilling, it happens. We all get it. And this is where we see we were losing yield. So I asked them to build me a subsoiler. And this is the leg on it. So it has 5 legs on it. We can lift one out of work and only use 2. So we'd have to use all the legs at the same time. We can just use whichever legs we like. Because we control traffic, you know where our wheels are. So instead of on a 10 hectare field, instead of doing the whole field at say £50 a hectare, we're only going to do 2 hectares in that field because we're only going to go where the combine's been. So suddenly we're making a massive saving there too. So another thing that we're doing is auto depth control. So using our conductivity maps or the topsoil mapper, we can the machine will actually in the heavier areas will lift up and shallow up and then go deeper in the lighter soils. So you tend to get more compaction in the lighter soils and less in the heavier soils. That's what we find. So suddenly we find that we're saving 5 litres of fuel an hour. So another little saving for you. And as you can see in the demo there, low disturbance machine there, not making too much mess, just running with 2 tines, taking out combine wheelings. Another thing we can do with our ploughman subsoiler is we can put a mould draining leg on and go mould draining with it. And using drone deploy maps and stuff, we can actually variable the height that we want the mould draining leg to go to. So another key issue, and now we know these days, is cover crops. So we've got cover crop here, and you can see in there there's a little zone that's had no cover crop. So we just want to see if the cover crop's actually going to benefit us. So we're always doing little trials here and there and everywhere. And if you can see in the picture, you can see the diff. You know, it's doing its job. And another thing that we do with our RTK is inter-row cultivations. So as you can see that the stubble's there from last year and we sow in between. So I believe that if we leave the stubble in the ground in between, it acts as a bit of a cover crop and also helps erosion too. So this is the new thing I've got into the last year, is drone images. So anybody can go out there and buy themselves a drone. I went out and bought myself a Phantom 4, cost me 1,300 quid. Went and did a course, halfway through getting my licence. And from that we can do plant counts, look at our fields, and also look at specific areas where I've drawn around where there might be problems with ryegrass or brome, blackgrass, and then you can then use them as spray zones. So instead of spreading the whole field, you just can't spray these areas, as you'll see. So first of all, with our drone, off we go, and this is a little route plan here. So off we'll go, we'll fly this. It takes just shy of 10 minutes. It goes and flies the field, and suddenly you come back with a load of images like this. And you send them off to America, next day they come back, all knitted together, and you end up with an image like this. And in this image, I can see that there's some manganese problems going on in this field. So from there, this is a vari map. So a bit like an NDVI map, you can turn into a vari map, see where your problems are. And this one here will turn into a application map if you want to do an application map. And then, remember I was talking about the subsoiler? This is our height. So in the blue there, it's low, and as we come up, the height difference is changing, so we can see where the heights are. And there's actual measurement on there as well. Then you get a 3D map as well. And on the 3D map, which is very clear to see, you can also see where your drainage plans are. So if you're not quite sure where your drains are, you'll get a drone image and normally it'll fish them out for you. Then you can mark them in and mark all the GPS points for it and find the ends of your drains, which we find very handy as well if you need to. So that map, what we do then is we bring it into Gatekeeper, sits in Gatekeeper. So that said it was a manganese problem. This doesn't have to be manganese, this could be blackgrass, anything could be a problem. So we then draw around the affected area, and then off we go with our sprayer. There's your variable rate map there, sat in there. So the little yellow areas is where we're going with the sprayer. The white areas didn't need spraying. That field, yeah, again, 10 hectares, we sprayed 2 hectares. So originally it was going to cost £250 to do the manganese in that field. It cost me 50 quid. So, thank you very much.